Bonjour, everyone, and welcome to Five Midfield, our little section that we do on two up top. You got myself, Gav Mack, then you got Alex Osborn, then you got Stephen Buck. How are you, gents?
Very well, thank you very much. How are you?
I'm good. I think Buck has muted himself, so I'm trying to unmute him. I'm hoping that he can do that.
Hey, I'm back again.
Welcome to the show,
Can't
Buck.
silence me that long, my friend.
Oh my god! Welcome to the show, Buck. Right then, so the top fives for today. We've decided it's sort of a little bit different today. So it's going to be the best Champions League teams that have won the Champions League. So not the best final, just the team itself. I'm gonna get it kicking off. But before I do that, you can put two up top into Google, and our name comes up first, which is pretty cool. Discovered that not too long ago. And also, you can follow us on all social media at Two at Top Football on all social media, and you can subscribe to our YouTube channel, which you'll be able to see dotted along the bottom of the screen right now. Right then, I'm going to go first because that's what I like to do. And number 5 on my list is the Man United 1968 team, because this team literally was depleted less than 10 years before that with the Munich the air disaster, which is a monumental moment in football history, and the fact that they were able to benefit later on in the year, in the next decade, from having such a strong squad. They were able to rebuild, and this team had Nobby Stiles in it, had Brian Kidd, it had one of the greatest players of all time, George Best. So they won against Benfica that year, and they fully deserve it. Number 4 is the Liverpool 1984 team. Just going to remove that banner there so you can see who's in between sticks. That was Bruce Grobbelaar between the sticks. Now, Bruce Grobbelaar, this is before his match fixing days, so he was actually a really good squad. I could have picked any of those Liverpool squads, if I'm honest, absolutely any of them, because they all were brilliant for different reasons. But this one had Ian Rush, and he's one of the.
It's always went to Rush and to Dalglish in that
talking
lineup.
about.
But actually, have a look at what Graham Souness used to do as a player. The man was a player.
Oh my god,
absolute player.
That's the animal that you need between the stick, between the lines, like just going through eating people. He's able to chip him with the odd goal every now and then as well, which is pretty cool.
Yeah, and technically he wasn't that bad either. I mean, he was a very good football player. He really was. Yeah,
people don't really talk about him the way that they should. I think they just moan about him because of all his punditry on Sky Sports. But that's what I've gone with for number 3. Number 3. That was my number 4. Number 3 is the Bayern Munich 1975 team, and the reason why I've gone with this one rather than the one from 74 or 76 is solely because of a Leeds reference. We haven't had a Leeds reference for a long time, and they beat Leeds United. They beat Leeds United in the final 2-0. Now, this team, Schwarzenbeck. People will always bang on about Beckenbauer, but I think there's not enough people put enough respect on Schwarzenbeck's name, his defensive centre half partner. Both of them just so good. He's the guy that would go out there and chop people, whereas Beckenbauer was the, like how back in the day, to some kids it'd be back in the day, but when Man United had Terry, what am I on about? When Man United had Ferdinand and Vidic. One ball playing, the other one chopping. That's exactly what those two were like. So brilliant stuff. And then, of course, one of the best strikers in the history of ever,
Muller,
and easily in my top 5 strikers of all time, Gerd Muller, and then Uli Hoeneß as well. So yeah, that's my number 3. Number 2, also in my top 5 strikers of all time, is a player in that team. It's Ferenc Puskás, and that is part of the Real Madrid 1960 team. And the reason why I chose this one, other than one of the other 6 of that time, is because they had Puskás and Di Stefano both starting, and they won 7-3, and Puskás scored 4, Di Stefano scored 3. So, absolute animals.
That's the famous game that everyone remembers the European Cup really starting, isn't it? That one.
Yeah.
That 7-3 and that Real
Yeah.
Madrid team.
Indeed, I think that's when people started taking it, paying a bit more attention to it, because it'd been running since 1956, but I don't think anyone really cared about it too much until then. But number one, this is the GOAT team, Ajax 1995.
Yeah.
This team is GOAT, greatest of all time, and I'll fight anyone who says anything different. This team, out of the starting 11, 9 of them weren't just Dutch, they were Dutch internationals, and a lot of them would start for the Dutch national side. The only 2 that weren't part of it were Fernindi George and Jari Litmanen. Everyone else, starters. So for me, GOAT. All day GOAT. And that's me. Right.
Also, one of the most loveliest kits of all time.
Yes, and that's also featured on a previous show as well. So you may have to go back and have a look for the playlists of Five in Midfield and have a look at that one in particular, Gray's kits, because yes, it does feature, as well as a shirt that I was wearing yesterday out and about in the streets. Right. Who's gonna go next? Bucky, you're up, son.
Excellent. So now that I'm not muting myself, my number 5. My number 5, I went for the Manchester United side, but not the 99 side that everyone talks about.
Good.
I went for the 07-08 side.
Well done, because that 99 side wasn't, that starting lineup for that Champions League final was shocking.
No.
So yeah, I fully understand why you've done that.
And again, you've got to look at that side. So this is a side which really was pieced together over a little bit of time. It wasn't a sudden rush come in. You've got a previous Champions League winner in Edwin van der Sar, who's already come up on the show as being part of that Ajax team.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that was a good side. Tevez, Rooney. It was just a side full of good quality players.
Absolute talent everywhere.
Very, very different. They came back, I think it was 2 seasons before, it might have been this season before, where they got beaten by Barcelona. And Barcelona in 06 had actually gone out and been unbeaten throughout the whole games, hardly considered a goal. Manchester United did pretty much the same route that year when they won the Champions League.
Mm-hmm. Brilliant
and
stuff.
Still beat some very, very, very good players. Very good team, sorry. So, number 5.
So I've done my 5. That's your one as well. That's 6 solid teams, man. 6 solid teams on the spin. Who's your number 4?
So for my number 4, I actually went for the Liverpool side.
And you ruined it.
Of Istanbul, and I've ruined it, yeah. But I've ruined it for good reason. I've ruined it for good reason.
Ruined it. We've literally just named 6 amazing teams. All right, and then you give this one. Let's have a look at that again. Jimmy Traore. Steve Finnan.
So, all right. Let's leave the fullback situation out of it. But let's go back to that starting lineup. Sami Hyypiä, brilliant defender. Massively underrated for what he was. Okay, Sami Hyypiä was a good defender. You had Steven Gerrard in there. Harry Kewell at the time was on fire.
Yeah, he was sick. Yeah, I get that.
And you had Milan Baros as well, who I think went on to win the European Golden Goal somehow for whatever he did. I don't know how he did it, but he did.
Dead striker. And he wore number 5. Don't trust him.
So, number 4 is that team. And the reason why I've come at it from that side is if I not look at just the players, because they're obviously man for man, that is not the best squad.
Dead.
They went up against the favourites for the tournament. They were 3-0 down at half time. They clawed it back somehow.
But that team was rubbish.
It's rubbish if you look at the individuals. If you look at what collective achieved over that season for what should have been inferior individuals, and they won the Champions League.
I mean, some might argue they were fortunate to get to the final with that goal against Chelsea in the semi-final.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Man, Liverpool absolutely jammed it that year. Last year they deserved to win it 100%, but that year they jammed it.
And there's no comparison. Man for man, last year's team way better than 07's. But as a unit of what they achieved when they should never have even got to the final, let alone won
They're still worse. Well done, Bucky.
It's a good team.
Who's your number 3?
My number 3, I went for the Ajax side.
Oh, you went there? Well, no,
I did went there. I did went there, and I went there for the prime reason. 1, the kit is absolutely sick. 2, though that team is littered with absolute top talent. You can't pick a single area on that team and go, that was their weak point. didn't exist.
1,000,000%.
It was a team, and all those players got picked off and went off to other sides elsewhere in the Champions League competitions later on, and then Ajax didn't really recover after that. It was just that nucleus of players was so good, just so good. Even I think they've conceded the lowest number of goals in Champions League history from start to finish, 2 goals.
Yeah, quality. Total
Tell
football.
me, just an absolute team.
Who's your number 2?
Number 2. So I've kept this within the kind of early 90s radius in number 2. So I've gone for the AC Milan side of 93-94.
Second best team of all time.
Just so apart from
of the 90s.
Apart from what they've achieved in the Champions League, this was a team that actually changed the way Serie A awarded points, because they won Serie A with 35 goals across the entire season.
Yeah.
But they only shipped 15.
Yeah.
They were so defensive that the league went, we're going to have to make 3 points for a win from now on.
Yeah, because it was 2 points for a win.
The only way we could do it, because they were just so defensive under Fabio Capello. And then he turns up to the Champions League final, completely reverses tactics, and they went out 4-0 winners.
Slaps him. Oh, no. And you got to think that this Milan side didn't have the likes of George Weah. It didn't have the likes of Zvonny Boban as well. So I find it baffling that future AC sides of the 90s didn't go on and win more.
Yeah, and they also didn't have Van Basten, who'd retired due to an injury, didn't he? About a season or so before.
But it wasn't just Van Basten, was it? You had Laudrup in there, you had Maldini, Baresi, Desai, Papin. It was just absolutely littered with players.
The squad was brilliant.
The only thing that I would throw back at that, because I consider this team for my top 5, would be the lack of games that was played in that tournament.
Nah, don't buy that.
That would the only pushback I'd have on that, because
I don't buy that, because you still got to go out there and beat what's in front of you.
It would have been easier. It was certainly easier to win than other.
No. They played that. No, because in '94 there was 4 groups of 4. There was 4 groups of 4, and in '94, because they beat Man United in one of those groups as well. No, they didn't beat Man United.
No,
Barcelona beat Man United. Barcelona beat Man United. And Romario bagged. I'm not buying that. They're brilliant.
That's a side that is literally Champions League, league winners, cup winners, and change a point system in an entire league because of how good they were to try and give parity. It's got nothing to do with the fact that there was less games. That was a proper team.
Definitely less games there. Who's less games.
Not buying it. Who's number 1?
So I've ranked my Spurs roots here. And my number 1 was the 2006-2007 Barcelona side.
It's 05-06. I'll still cry about this.
Which they went and beat. What was it? Was it Arsenal? I think they went and beat. Which might have even included a
I'm meant to kick off about this. The thing is, I can't even kick off because I think this is edition 18 or 19 of 5 Midfield, and all we've done is hammer you in every single one that you've been involved in. So you know what? I'll let you. I'll take the L.
So let's just. So I've actually got a good story about that one. So when Arsenal got to the final, obviously against this Barcelona side, and the Barcelona side, by the way, which again shipped hardly any goals. They were unbeaten throughout the group stages, unbeaten all throughout the knockout stages. They took out the top teams across Europe, and they did it with a rock solid defense with Charles Puyol in there that just ran the show.
And Rafa Marquez, who's absolutely gone.
Absolutely. And you've still got the likes of, you had Deco, you had Samuel Eto'o. Was it Gooley that was in there as well? Along with Ronaldinho, Van Bommel, that is an absolute leader on a pitch when you get him in charge. So they had some proper players. However, as a Spurs fan, obviously, when Arsenal got to the final, I bought a Barcelona shirt. I make no shame about that one. And I couldn't be happier when Sol Campbell thought he'd scored.
Well, he did score.
But then he lost.
It's the only time that Sol Campbell's goals actually stood, when all the others should have for Angleterre as well.
Oh,
It's the
yeah,
only
he's
time.
England,
It's the only time when it actually stood. So my theory is, if that goal was disallowed, Arsenal would have won.
How did you get to that?
Because that's what happens with England, isn't it? Every time he scores,
Oh,
he's get disallowed, didn't it? And then
yeah,
then we'd end up losing.
Mate, Arsenal wouldn't have gone on to win that one. And to be fair, Arsenal on the park with that team, that Arsenal side was a really good side. You know, you had Pires, Henry, Freddie Ljungberg. I rate Freddie Ljungberg. He's one of my favourite players that turned up for Arsenal. But that Barcelona outfit was an absolute legend of a side.
Well, it was Pires who was sacrificed for the red card, and I knew that he was on his way out. Then Lundberg was on his way out. He was like Arsenal should have been more challenging for the Champions League, like between 2001 and 2004-5. I think it was just a year too late for that crop of players, personally. But that's just a personal opinion. Right, Alex, who's your number 5?
Right then, so as usual, it's left to me to do the proper list out of you boys. Number 5, right. AC Milan, 1989-1990.
Yeah, solid.
The reason I've gone with these is a couple of reasons. They were prior to Real Madrid retaining the title or the Champions League, now as it's called now. AC Milan were the last team to do it prior to that Real Madrid side doing it a couple of seasons ago, when this was actually still called the European Cup, and it was just a straight knockout format like the UEFA Cup used to be back in the day. It was home and away legs, and that team pretty much was, you look at some of the players that they've got, it was legendary. You got Baresi, Maldini in defence, you had Gullit, Rijkaard in midfield, and you had Van Basten and Marco Simeone up front. That spine, I dare you to try and get a better spine of players than that in any European side. It was incredible.
Well, you could have a look at my Ajax 95 team if you want.
And Real Madrid, they beat both Real Madrid and Bayern Munich on the way to winning the title. So they level of competition that they play, because sometimes in cup competitions you can come up against an easier route, which is always hard to judge a team on it, but they definitely beat the best opposition in Europe that season, AC Milan. 4. So they're my number 5 team. So number 4 was the Real Madrid side of 1999-2000.
Yep.
There's a reason why I just sort of chose this team, was because they actually were the winners when it was the 2 group stage, if everyone can remember that Champions League format that you can remember. So they won it when it was the most games that ever played in the Champions League. I think it was nearly 15, probably 16 games. I think it was.
Well,
that
2-stage one went over for a couple of years. It was about 4 or 5. So I remember Liverpool and Chelsea just constantly played against each other. Got to a point where it got boring.
And that team, you look at some of the players that played for him. Again, you had Raul, you had Clarence Seedorf, when he seems to win Champions Leagues, whoever he went to play for. But he was there as a young lad. Obviously, you had Anelka playing for him. Didn't quite have as much of an impact for him as he probably hoped to, but he was still obviously there as a player that they'd signed quite big money back in the day from Arsenal. I think it was that summer actually, prior to that season. They had a young Samuel Eto'o, who I didn't really play for them that much, but he was still under their squad. And obviously you had Michel Salgado and Robbie Carlos going up and down the wings as fullbacks. And they also, the other thing that I liked about them is that they beat the previous finalists of the Champions League in back-to-back rounds. So they beat Man United and then Bayern Munich, both who'd made the final previously, obviously in Man United's treble-winning season. So again, the level of competition that they had to beat to win the title was there. And I think we can all remember that Matt Manaman goal in the final when he did that sort of scissor kick volley into the bottom corner from the edge of the area. So, that Real Madrid side definitely, I think, deserves a lot of credit and praise.
Yeah, lovely. Who's number 3?
Number 3, Barcelona, 2010 to 2011. I mean, looking at that lineup there, near enough perfect. They only lost 1 game the whole competition, but it was just the way that they played their football. It was probably peak Guardiola. You want to call it tiki-taka football. They were pretty much unbeatable. I know They did lose the game. Funnily enough, they lost to Arsenal earlier in the knockout stages, but they were comfortable winners in the second leg at home against us. They beat Real Madrid on the way to the final. They also beat Man United, obviously in the final. You had Messi, Xavi, Iniesta, Busquets, Piqué, Mascherano. It was David Villa, Pedro. Yeah, that final at Wembley. They were clearly superior to Man United in pretty much every way. And they were.
Who's number 2?
Number 2, Real Madrid, 2016, 2017. The first team to retain the Champions League, as it's called, the Champions League, and not when it was the European Cup. Again, they only lost one game the whole campaign. Ronaldo was bagging for fun. You had Sergio Ramos, Marshall in the back. You had that dominant midfield of Toni Kroos and Luka Modric in sort of just keeping things ticked over, backed up by Casemiro as one of a really underrated defensive midfielder as far as I'm concerned. And yeah, that was sort of I think the peak of their 4 out of their 5 titles that they won, Real Madrid, or 3 out of 4, I believe it was. Sorry, brother. I don't think anybody could complain about Real Madrid that season. They were, even though they didn't win the La Liga that year, they were clearly the Champions League team of the season, without doubt.
Yeah, and that leaves number 1.
Number 1, I'm surprised this hasn't come up, but it's the Bayern Munich 2012-2013 team, managed by, I always get his name wrong, Jupp Heynckes?
Heynckes.
Heynckes, that's it. Thank you very much, Gav. Appreciate that. But that team was dominant. That team was dominant in every way. I mean, they beat Arsenal on the way to it. It was highlighted by the 7-0 thumping of that Barcelona team. Okay, they were probably coming on the way down. That Pep Guardiola Barcelona team, they thumped them 7-0 in the semi-finals. And they scored 31 goals in the whole campaign. They won the treble. They only lost one game in the Bundesliga all season. They won the Pokal as well. And they topped it up with the all-German final against Dortmund at Wembley
again.
And they were just, again, you go through the sides. You had Toni Kroos, you had Schweinsteiger, Boateng, Philipp Lahm. I think Neuer had moved to them.
Neuer was in 6. Yeah. I think the only weak link is Mandzukic.
Their strikers. Yeah, their striker. They didn't really. They had it was Mario Gomez or Mandzukic, but again, they were doing a job for them, and it was just as far as a single season in the Champions League, for me, they were the most dominant of that season.
The other player on their side that I've never really rated or got is Boateng.
Not bad.
If you look at all the other centre halves across the Champions League, or even all the other players that have come into that side, Boateng for me is the weaker of the players.
No, I think he stepped up, man. I think he stepped up. As soon as he went to Germany, it was another level above. He just didn't cut it at City for me.
Yeah, that's it.
He didn't cut it at City.
Young to play at City as well. The new foreign language, country, didn't quite fit. But yeah, as Gav said, he went to Bayern, he stepped up. And obviously that Bayern side, they'd lost the previous final the year before in their home ground. So they were doubly determined to come back and put amends to that, didn't they? So, for me, I think they were quite clear winners as a single season.
Yeah, good stuff. Right. Well, that's it from us today. That was our top 5 European Cup / Champions League winning teams. So if you've got any ideas of what order you should have it as, just let us know, pop it in the comments, lob it on Twitter. So who would be anywhere from second downwards, because we all know that it's Ajax 1995 at number 1. So follow us on all social media platforms at Top Football. You see it going down the bottom. And did you know if you put 2 up top into Google, our name comes up first? Interesting. Ta-ra.